Remember that war that wasn't a war? Thanks to our core, we won it for sure. Now freedom endures on both of our shores. There's a little bit more fighting in store, but hardly a chore. For sure, not a war. Remember the fight, which wasn't a fight, that lasted all night with no end in sight, and didn't seem right? Well, don't get uptight. We bested with might, it ended all right. No need to indict. It was not a fight. Recall our last battle, which was not a battle, in deserts with camels, with rockets to rattle. Our foes all skedaddled, our bombs were a paddle. The haters will grapple with why we got addled, and our men got saddled, 'cause it was no battle. Remember the nukes, there were no nukes. We put up our dukes and blew up their troops and killed some large groups. That was a big whoops, their leader got booped. Regime is reduced, a win we produced, but they have no nukes.
Jeff and Apples walk the street, talking about the sky so neat. Weather weapons causing storms, globalists with secret forms. Jeff and Apples, what a pair, whisper plots while breathing air. Apocalypse is on its way, but they still find time to play. But they still find time to play. But they still find time to play.
Oh, there you are, Apples. How you doing today, Apples? I'm pretty good. Staying inside. It's pretty hot. I'm pretty hot. What's going on? You guys talk about Jews? World War III? Yeah, you got it, Apples. I was trying to keep up here. Another video. Trying to get these out as quickly as possible. Like Trump's about to speak again. It's a big risk to always record these videos right before he does his little act, because a lot of things usually change right after that, but I'll take that chance today. But I guess we should go to the White House for just like an update on everything that's happened so far.
I'm not sure why we're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but were going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
Yeah, complete chaos. Nothing makes sense. It's par for the course. Anyway, at least there's a new movie coming out. Based sort of like on the Titanic, but it's the Strait of Hormuz.
Don't let go. Whatever you do, don't let go!
I'll never let go, Donnie.
I'm flying, Don! I'm flying! Please! Please, I need another trillion or so! Anything for you, BB.
Yeah, all this stuff is so insanely insane that it's hard to tell what's actually kind of real and what's kind of all part of the agenda. Because this US attack on Iran has been such a disaster that if Trump's actually doing these things, which he's really not. See, that's the thing, he's really not. But if he was, here's how school children in the future, not that there would be school, but they'd get their book like The Art of War by Sun Tzu. They'd get this about this one.
2,500 years from now, ancient MAGA military texts are being studied by historians. One of them was written by the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces. This text is known as The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Let's have a look at a few pages. If you do not know what you're doing, neither does your enemy. You cannot lose if you never had a plan. Always insult your allies before a war, so that when you need them, they ignore you. When the great general loses a battle, he declares the battle was fake news. Thus, he remains undefeated. If the enemy fights back, declare it unfair. If you're in the files, start a war. Do not take politics too seriously. The same applies to war. A strong leader never admits mistakes. He simply changes the narrative. And so, these are the teachings that have been passed on to the descendants of tomorrow. Follow to learn more about the wars fought during the era of the great diplomatic circus.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to even explain this to my 3-year-old. But luckily, there's been a sort of a fairy tale version of everything that's happened so far that came out. Maybe I can show this to him.
The fat orange monster does a shit ton of war crimes. Once upon a time, there was a country called Iran. And the people running that country were bad and did bad things. But the people living in that country were not bad and did not do bad things. And the fat orange monster didn't really care about the people running the country or the people living there. He only wanted to make his friend, the Yahoo, happy, so that his friend the Yahoo wouldn't tell everyone about the monstrous things the monster did. The Yahoo said, blow them up. And the monster said, yes, sir, of course, sir. Don't show anyone the spell book, sir. But after weeks of war, the people were getting pretty fucking angry. And the monster was very, very unpopular, which made the monster very, very sad and very, very angry. Now, the monster couldn't stop the war because the Yahoo had the spell book. And he couldn't win the war because Iran had prepared for this for decades. So he had one option, and he yelled out, Whiskey the Pete! Whiskey the Pete! I need you to do a bunch of war crimes. Make life terrible for the innocent people who live there, so that the bad people in charge give up. But the bad people in charge didn't really care about their people. They just got done killing a bunch of them anyway. So why the monster thought this would work is anyone's guess. But Whiskey the Pete was an immoral idiot dumbass. So he did as he was told, and just started killing innocents, and pretended he was some kind of crusader for Jesus, or something stupid like that. And lots of people who did nothing but be born in the wrong place at the wrong time were killed so that the people in the kingdom wouldn't see the spell book. The spell book that no matter what eventually was coming out anyway. And nothing was learned. And the horrors accelerated.
So apparently they're all going to Pakistan for talks. And in the meanwhile, the US is moving something like 50,000 troops to Iran. Which is kind of interesting too, because they have no bases in the Middle East anymore. After the Sun Tzu did his military genius. But even beyond that, because they're talking about a ground invasion now. And again, I'm no military expert at all. But I hear Iran has 1 million people in its army, and the US is sending 50,000 troops to go land on the shores like Normandy, but the shores are like cliffs. And they're probably all going to get slaughtered. A bunch of them already have. Although they all lied about it and said, oh, we went and saved this pilot. No, everyone got killed. They actually did the Hannibal thing, or the Hannibal thing that Israel does, and just killed all the US soldiers when they went to go save the pilot. But I'm sure they'll be putting out a movie soon, just like the brave people on that flight that ended up in the field in Shanksville, even though there was no plane there. But anyway, none of this stuff ever has to be true or real. But yeah, they seem like they're going to be sending in ground troops soon. You always hear about World War II and stuff, about how it was such a massive mistake to attack Russia during the winter. Well, it's actually the exact opposite in Iran, because the summers in Iran are insane. I've actually been to Dubai, and it wasn't even the summertime. I think it was like around this time, around April, I think. And I was at a hotel, and I said to the guy, this is like, I don't know, 20 years ago. I said to the hotel concierge guy, where's this steakhouse? I hear it's the best steakhouse in Dubai. He said, it's at the hotel next door. He said, should I call you a taxi? And I went, no, I'll just walk. And he looked at me like I was insane. And I didn't know why at the moment, but I walk out, and the hotel next door in Dubai, because it's like a big desert, it's like a mile away, which wouldn't be too bad, except for it was like 45 Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit or something. At night, it was like 7 at night. The sun had already gone down. And by the time I realized how far away it was and how hot it was to be walking that far, I had already made it halfway. So it seemed stupid to go back and take a taxi. So I just kept going. And by the time I got to the next door hotel, it literally looked like I had jumped into the swimming pool with my clothes on. I was that soaked. I was drenched. I was completely drenched with sweat. And I took a taxi back, showered, changed my clothes, and then took a taxi back to the steakhouse. But my point is, if they're actually sending in ground troops now, as this post points out, like even right now, it's getting too hot. If they wait another month or two, it's going to be insane. History laughs at armies who ignore the calendar. Russia's winter destroyed Napoleon and Hitler. For Iran, it's the summer that kills. Trump's narrow window for a ground invasion is slamming shut. The Middle Eastern summer, just as brutal, just as unforgiving, will turn any land campaign into a catastrophe. From late April onward, southern Iran becomes a natural fortress. Dust storms blind sensors, zero summer rain plus water scarcity turns logistics into hell, and low-flying drones face turbulent chaos. Well, we'll see what happens. All those 18-year-old kids in the US will be really regretting their decision to join one of the most evil empire's armies ever. But really, like I've been saying, this all just appears like part of a massive agenda. And they make it look like all these things are fighting each other. But really, this is just part of the agenda. You blow up mine, I'll blow up yours. And together we can implement Agenda 2030. And with all the destruction, all the oil that's basically just gone now, natural gas, the fertilizer, we could see in a year or so, from the fertilizer loss, billions basically dead of starvation. But that too has always been part of the plan, as, what was her name, Grimes, the satanic actress or artist who had, I think, 3 children with Elon Musk but never had sex with them. It's all crazy with these people. But she probably was hanging around on the couch one day and overheard all the plans.
Yeah. Overall, I think there's quite a bit of abdication of responsibility around like, what are we going to do as people's jobs start being taken fairly aggressively? Luckily, there's a massive population drop coming, so maybe everything is just fate and it's going to work out okay. But I feel like we might get like very, very, very good AI across every pillar of art before there aren't any more people to make art.
Here's something interesting. The Bilderberg event that I've broken into numerous times, like I don't know when, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I went like to 2 or 3. Actually broke into the hotel once while the event was happening. I actually didn't realize back then I have kind of like superpowers, like Jedi powers, because I was so drunk. Which actually I assumed at the time my drunkenness was my superpower. But yeah, I would just get by everything. But I haven't gone in years, and no plans to go, by the way. It used to be me, Dan Dix, Luke Radowski. Now Luke Radowski is mostly with Tim Pool, who's a clearly controlled opposition, hangs out at Mar-a-Lago all the time in a suit. So that was a weird character arc for Luke. And for myself, as I said, I'm not going to break into Bilderberg anymore. I've spent the last 10 years doing self-work. None of this is real. I enjoy doing these videos. I'll keep doing these in the Matrix, but I'm not going anymore. But Dan Dix, he's been the one who's gone the longest. I think this might be like his 20th Bilderberg or something. It's going on at Washington District of Criminals. The Secretary of War, of course, is there, Hegseth. Peter Thiel's there, of course. Alex Karp of Palantir. It's all the usual criminals at Bilderberg. And Dan just posted this on his X account, which you should follow at Dan Dix PFT. Day 2 of the 2026 Bilderberg conference is underway, and considering this appears to be an emergency April meeting, which hasn't happened in, drumroll please, 33 years. Dan says, I think the implications are potentially huge.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. It is now day 2 of the annual Bilderberg meeting here in Washington, D.C. Today is typically the day where the real bulk of the meeting takes place. The real meat and potatoes are discussed about their next phase of the plan moving forward. So I'm going to be here all day to document who's here and get a better idea of what sort of things they may actually be discussing. Now, a lot of people are probably not aware that it's the Bilderberg group who's responsible for major world-shaping events. One example is the European Union. That was hashed out by the Bilderberg group. That was their idea, which came to fruition. This concept of all these countries in Europe giving up their national sovereignty, and many of them relinquishing their own currency. Some of them who've had them for thousands of years gave that up in favor of the euro. And this was an idea that was hashed out by Bilderberg, where the inner circle of the inner circle, as I like to call them, managed to project this idea to the rest of the delegates, and then it became a reality, because these are some of the most powerful and influential people we're dealing with here. You may also not be aware that it was the Bilderberg group who, shortly after 9/11, hashed a plan to enter the Middle East, go into Iraq and Afghanistan, and it was at those early meetings when they told the delegates that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And of course, in attendance, there were some of the world's biggest media outlets, there were some of the world's biggest war hawks, and they took it in, hook, line, and sinker. And they kind of got this idea out into the minds of the masses, and it was able to happen. Now, they believed it full-heartedly. That's the only way that this thing can work. It's not like everybody who attends these meetings are in on some nefarious plan or agenda, or even aware of the idea of the fact that these guys are trying to create an eventual one world global government. There is an inner circle inside the inner circle. They hash out the plan, and then they disseminate this idea to the large body of delegates who believe it, and then they go out and, like a ripple effect, it spreads out across all of society, and boom, just like that, they were able to invade, the Middle East based on this lie that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And obviously they have a lot of other countries on the chopping block, including Iran. And so now it begs the question, when we have major media outlets in here again, we have like the Secretary of War, we have the Secretary General of NATO, who are now meeting in this, what seems to be an emergency April meeting in the midst of Donald Trump's epic fury. It really makes you wonder what's on the actual agenda. What are they planning as the next phase in this plan for an eventual new world order?
Yeah, I remember years ago, so many people said I was just crazy for thinking anything happens at Bilderberg. It's now become totally obvious to most people. Some people still are completely oblivious to everything. But that's where they have a lot of the top people. Oh, they're not the top people. It's sort of like the top of the middle men sort of people. Like Pete Hegseth. You know, Peter Thiel's pretty closer to the top. Nowhere near the top, but he's closer for sure. Bill Gates doesn't really go or anything, right? And he's not even the top at all. But these are like the higher, upper middle class, middle rank sort of people. And they go and basically plan out all this Agenda 2030 stuff. And, you know, it's kind of between Bilderberg and Davos where they talk about a lot of this stuff. And, you know, they've been saying for years they're going to do all these things. Bill Gates actually did a TED Talk where he said he's going to kill 50% of the world population with vaccines. I was saying that a decade ago, before the COVIDs. And I heard so many people, it's like, no, Jeff, he said he's also going to use birth control. It's like, and vaccines. But yeah, the birth control too, for sure. But now it's just so obvious, but people just never listen. When they tell you what they're going to do, you should probably listen.
Unfortunately, I think this is just the beginning. So I've learned when people tell you what they're going to do, don't ignore them. So when the UN and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab tell you that they've got a UN 2030 plan with sustainable development goals, I think there are 17 or 21 of them, and every one of them says, you won't be traveling, you won't have a private car, we won't be using international shipping to move goods around, there won't be any flights except military or perhaps very rich people, you won't own anything and you'll be happy, you probably won't live in your own house, you'll be using much less energy for everything, including heating, manufactured goods, and so on. When they tell you that, you should assume that they're serious about it. And so I think COVID has been part one of a multi-act play that's going to take 10 years that will destroy the liberal democracies completely. We've already, if you think living in a democracy, now ask yourself who you could vote for that would change this, because I don't think there's anyone you can vote for anywhere that is guaranteed things. So I don't have an answer, but I'm telling you, I think we're sliding down through the gates of hell. I'm speaking out. There's nothing in it for me. I've lost lots of money, all my friends. I'm away from my home and family, and I'm speaking out because, as I close, I am absolutely sure what I've told you is substantially true.
But you definitely see some people speaking up, some prime ministers and things like that, like the Spanish prime minister. Although I have to say, I would not doubt it at all, if even he is basically controlled opposition, because they need a few people to kind of like stand up and you know, give the opposing point of view, and then, you know, they just kind of kill all the people in their country too and stuff like that. But anyway, whoa, almost fell there, jeez. But you know, you just kind of have to point it out when they do the right things, at least. And the first thing he did was the Spanish Prime Minister declined the invitation to join the Trump's Board of Peace right before they started World War III. So that was pretty good. And then he even just came out just recently calling for the arrest of Milkowski.
Por supuesto que vamos a poner todos los recursos del Estado al servicio de la gente para protegerles de una guerra, la de Irán, que no avala el gobierno de España. Y le digo a la derecha y a la ultraderecha, Le digo a la derecha y a la ultraderecha que no pueden estar apoyando a quien incendia el mundo y luego quejarse del humo que provoca ese incendio.
And that definitely rumpled some feathers. Trump immediately came out and demanded that China halt all trade relations with Spain. Then in response, China moved to suspend exports of agriculture fertilizer to the US. So that was just weird. Trump's like, hey, China, you have to drop all trade relations with Spain because he's against Milkowski and, you know, they got all this Epstein stuff on me and, you know, so can you do that? And China was like, no, we'll stop selling you fertilizer, which is what they've done just recently, by the way. But Benjamin Milkowski came out and he was very direct about how he feels about Spain.
ישראל לא תשתוק מול מי שתוקף אותנו. ספרד הכפישה את גיבורנו, את חיילי צה"ל, חיילי הצבא המוסרי ביותר בעולם. ולכן הנחיתי היום לסלק את נציגי ספרד ממרכז התיאום בקריית גת, לאחר שספרד בחרה שוב ושוב להתייצב נגד ישראל. מי שתוקף את מדינת ישראל במקום את משטרי הטרור, מי שעושה זאת לא יהיה שותף שלנו לגבי עתיד האזור. אני לא מוכן לסבול את הצביעות הזאת ואת העוינות הזאת. אני לא מתכוון לאפשר לאף מדינה לנהל נגדנו מלחמה מדינית בלי לשלם על כך מחיר מיידי.
How dare they say anything bad about the most moral army in the world? Nothing could be further from the truth. It's the most disgusting, most evil, most nefarious, most just sick and twisted. All they do is rape little kids and kill them in front of their parents. But Milkowski is really pissed off that Spain's saying he's the bad guy here. It's like, well, yeah, that's obvious. But Spain's actually been doing a number of those things. You might remember in a video I did, I don't know, a year or two ago. I don't know, times doesn't mean anything to me anymore. They actually cut off a lot of trade relations with Israel, and then they got hit by massive, massive weather weapons. There was like floods unlike anything I've ever seen inside of cities in Spain. And it appears like they're kind of rolling out the next part of the agenda here, which is what I've been talking about, how basically Europe is very close to not having any power, not having any food. This is going to get insane. And I've said they've already got so many, like millions and millions of fighting age males from Africa already placed all throughout Europe. But just in the last few days, just after Milkowski said that they're going to go after Spain, a massive flood of them are now coming into Spain. Thousands of fighting age African invaders are marching miles across the border like a conquering army. This isn't migration, it's the Great Replacement live on X. We cannot believe what we're seeing. There's thousands and thousands of them. It goes on for miles. The Spanish border is now swamped with invaders. Europe's going to get very interesting. Very, very interesting. Of course, this has been the plan for years. Kalergi plan, all those sort of things. All the sort of top Jew rabbi guys have said how they want to destroy Europe. And that looks like, you know, all this stuff looks like what they're doing. But it's interesting too because in Israel, in Tel Aviv, it looks like it's getting absolutely destroyed. It looks like Israelis are trying to flee out of Israel, which is something I also said. I've said for years, the Rothschilds don't care about the Jews. They're not Jews. They're Khazarians. What they are is in a Satanic Pedovore cult that wants to kill everyone on earth. And they actually use Israel and the Jews to kind of have like their own little country there for a while with the Star of Moloch. And now they're basically killing and destroying a lot of the people and things in Israel. But Milkowski's already got so many things set up for it, for them to all escape. Of course, I talked a lot about how it seems like hundreds of thousands or millions of Israelis have already moved to Ukraine, where they already killed most of the Christian white men there in their war with the coke fiend gay comedian who's Jewish, and World Economic Forum young global leader Vladimir Putin. So a lot of them are moving there, but there's all sorts of other stuff too. So Israel is creating a mini-state in Argentina, buying 40 Greek islands, establishing New Jerusalem in Ukraine, already running independent oblasts in Russia, and of course annexing Gaza, West Bank and South Lebanon.
Se ha filtrado a la prensa el informe confidencial catalogado bajo el expediente número MS-26. El documento coordina la preparación de un plan preventivo para acoger hasta 300.000 refugiados israelíes en Argentina. Este llamado plan preventivo nace como respuesta directa a la guerra impulsada por Estados Unidos e Israel contra la República Islámica de Irán. El documento arroja un sesgo alarmante. El operativo humanitario y la logística estatal están diseñados única y exclusivamente para acoger hasta 300.000 ciudadanos del Estado de Israel. A pesar de que la guerra afecta a toda la región, el plan del gobierno omite por completo ofrecer refugio a poblaciones iraníes u otras víctimas civiles del conflicto, enfocando todos los recursos del Estado argentino en una sola nacionalidad, Israel. Conocidos los detalles del informe, vemos que no se trata, por tanto, de un plan humanitario, sino de subordinarse a las necesidades del Estado de Israel. Lamentablemente, hay más factores preocupantes para añadir a la situación. Se ha filtrado a los medios documentación que revela la existencia de un proyecto urbanístico aprobado por el Ministerio de Obras Públicas argentino para crear lo que los argentinos llaman un country, una urbanización privada en la Patagonia, en tierras quemadas por el fuego, llamado Barrio Privado Josué, profeta de Israel. Este barrio privado va a tener nada menos que 100.000 hectáreas. 100.000 hectáreas. Esto es 4 veces la superficie de Gaza.
Yeah, I remember when Javier Milei, who's a cousin of Milei, they're cousins, became president of Argentina, and so many people said, Jeff, this must be your dream come true. A narco-capitalist, he says, has become president of Argentina. And you know, I had so many views on it, like, well, if he's a narco-capitalist, he wouldn't become president of a nation state. But they said, oh, he's going to shut down the central banks and get rid of all the government. Well, he hasn't done a lot of that. But what he has done is do everything for Israel. And this is more of it now. He even changed the laws in Argentina where foreigners couldn't buy land that had recently been burnt down. And he changed it so they can now, and then tons of Patagonia, tons of Argentina, it was all burnt down, all proven by like Israeli soldiers that they call them tourists. And now they're buying up a lot of Argentina. So that's crazy and wild. Then in Ireland right now, they're like running out of gas, the price is going up dramatically, and there seems to be a bit of a revolt going on there, quite a bit of a one. Looks like they're shutting everything down. Looks like they're, well, I'm not even quite sure what they're trying to do. According to Paul Weston, the horror media won't report this, but Ireland is rising up. Their anger is directed at the ruling class, which has made it quite plain the ambition is to replace the Irish as the native population. Ireland is now the canary in the genocidal coal mine. I've heard too that part of it is also how expensive gas is. But we'll see what happens there. That's just very interesting. I don't really have too many views on it at the moment, except for, of course, anytime people basically revolt against the government, I consider it a good sign, a good thing. We'll see how successful it is. But the thing is, they're not going to have any gas soon. And all those millions of people that have been run into Europe, they're all going to be in there. It's not necessarily like they all get like a pager alert. Now's the time, go out and cause chaos and kill everyone. I think it just happens kind of naturally. They brought in millions and millions of fighting age males from Africa. They're all on welfare and stuff. They don't really like the local culture all that much. They don't even understand it, really. They don't know that rape's not really cool and stuff like that. And once society starts to break down, if it has no gas or there's no food because the food trucks can't run, a lot of those people will just be out there doing what they used to do in the Congo, you know? Just, you know, get the machete. We'll see. We'll see how all this stuff goes. I'm sure there's got to be some men with testosterone still in Ireland. We'll just see if they're, you know, if they've been dumbed down enough, fluoridated enough, chemtrailed, injected with nanotech enough, lowered testosterone enough to be successful in surviving what's going to happen, because that's what's actually happening. Meanwhile, in Australia, they're basically saying that Australia has less than a month now until it runs out of diesel.
The latest figures show Australia has 855 million litres of petrol. That's enough to last about 39 days at normal consumption levels. There are almost 2.2 billion litres of diesel, about 29 days worth. And there are 663 million litres of kerosene, mostly used in aviation. That will last about 30 days.
Like I said in my video, the last video, these tanker ships, they go at the same speed as you ride your bike. And a lot of them are just stuck in places for like the last month and a half. And so even if that Strait of Hormuz or things like that started to open up, and even if the oil facilities there aren't totally destroyed, which a lot of them are pretty destroyed, and they can load up with oil, it's going to be like a month and a half or 2 months before a lot of places get any oil. And there's no guarantee that's going to happen. It's completely closed right now as I'm doing this video. And even the White House and Trump came out today and said it'll probably be shut for a couple months. If so, Europe's going to get insane. And places like Australia. Australia not as much because it's such a huge place. Like, this is what Australia mostly looks like. There's a couple big cities, but outside of that, it's like this. So I think a lot of people will probably survive better in Australia than they will in Europe, but we'll see. And like a lot of the flights, they're shutting down. They've canceled thousands of flights already. If you can get a flight, it's like 6 times the price that it used to be to go to Europe. And if you're going to Europe right now, it's like, what? You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. I was laughing at that flight from Australia to Europe. It's like running from the frying pan into the fire, whichever direction you go. But then I bring this up because I actually looked into this years ago. I saw some people talking about where does the gas, the diesel, the jet fuel go into these airplanes? And they say it all goes into the wings. And when you look at the wings and you look at the amount they say the jets need, it doesn't really make any sense. So I thought I would just play this video, just in case you haven't heard this, because it's something to think about. Are they even lying? Because everything here, almost everything we're told about most things in the world is all lies. Because basically we're in this matrix and it's like a tax cattle farm that Max Egan talks about. And most things we're told is lies. Dinosaurs, moon landing. I'll get to the moon landing in a second. 9/11 wasn't a guy in a cave in Afghanistan. World War I wasn't because of Prince Ferdinand. Vietnam War, Gulf of Tonkin, that was all staged. You know, almost everything's basically lies. So would it come as any surprise at all if even the idea of jet fuel is kind of a lie in itself?
We're being told that fuel accounts for 50% of the airline ticket price. And we're also being told that the Airbus A380 holds over 85,000 gallons of fuel, which is 130 tons of fuel in each wing, or 22 full-grown elephants on each wing, or 16 London red double-decker buses on each wing. Does that make a whole lot of sense to you? You mean to tell me that they're putting 85,000 gallons in those wings? When they pull up to refuel the airplane, they only use a 10,000 gallon tank. And it takes maybe 45 minutes to pump all of the fuel into this plane. Well, why don't we put this into perspective here? So an Olympic-sized swimming pool holds 660,000 gallons of water, and it takes about 4 days to fill up that Olympic-sized swimming pool. Well, have you seen how fast they're dumping water into that thing? It's quite a bit. Now, if it takes the Airbus A380 about 45 minutes to fill up, and it only requires about 8% of what an Olympic-sized swimming pool requires, that hose would still have to be pumping out over 1,800 gallons per minute to be able to fill up that plane with 85,000 gallons of fuel in just 45 minutes. So a fire hose pumps water at half that speed. And if you were pumping water into the wings of a plane with that much pressure, wouldn't it just destroy the wings of the plane? Think about that, guys. They're definitely not putting 85,000 gallons of fuel in those wings. Imagine 85,000 gallons of fuel sloshing around in the wings. You see, this is a military aircraft, and they are storing 9,000 gallons of fuel in the aircraft. You see how they had to put it in the center of the plane and how they have to strap it down and make sure everything's good? Because here's the thing, if the fuel is sloshing around in the wings, it is going to constantly imbalance you and it will be impossible to fly the plane. So you have to put all of this into perspective. I'm not saying that the plane doesn't use any fuel at all, but they're definitely lying about how much fuel it's actually using. So here's how a jet engine works. The shape of the engine is like a vortex, and as the air goes through, it's pulled into the engine, and the vortex geometry spins the air through the engine, compressing it and sucking the air through, which then propels the plane forward. So the engine itself is literally sucking the plane forward by constantly propelling itself through the medium of the air. And according to the owner's workshop manual, the secondary flow of compressed air accounts for 90% of the thrust produced from a jet engine, which means that the fuel isn't actually being used for much. And look at what this guy did. You see what he did? That's a vortex shape. Simply by getting the spindling thing to move, it is now able to propagate through the medium because of its vortex shape and infinitely propel itself without requiring any source of energy, which is exactly what the engine is doing on the plane. It's pulling the air through and then pushing it out on the other end. You see, the fuel is only used to get the plane engine going up to speed and then for takeoff and landing. But when the plane is in cruising speed, it's fine. And have you noticed how the engines are in front of the wing? If it was really so blistering hot and there was 85,000 gallons of fuel in the wing, why would they have the engine almost blowing directly on the wings? Couldn't it combust all of the fuel? And what about all of these people at this beach as this plane starts taking off? If you really pay attention to what happens, they all seem to be fine when all of that air that was propelled out of the engine is literally hitting them. Wouldn't they be scorched? You see, an airplane engine doesn't actually require fuel once it gets going, because it's literally creating a vortex to where the air is being siphoned through, a massive amount of pressure is created, and then it's pushed out onto the other end, which also cools the part of the engine that is combusting. You see, it's literally a vortex, and the engine is in front of the wing and not under it, so that the vortex can perfectly flow over the wing to create the propagation. But of course, this video was for entertainment purposes only. I have no idea how jet engines are made. I don't know anything about jets. This was all satire.
What I know is they've hidden the most incredible health technology there is out there from humanity for at least the last 100 years since Nikola Tesla. And now it's just coming out, and actually for the first time, a lot of people are getting access to it through the Tesla Club. There's a lot of what you could call perpetual free energy devices out there. It would be no surprise at all if all that's just been hidden from us, and now it's starting to come out, but they keep people, you know, kind of trapped into the scarcity. And you know, one thing I remember about, because I'm like 55 years old, almost 56 by the way, and I remember like the 1990s, they were talking about peak oil. We're about to run out of oil. And even when I looked into it back then, I was like, I don't know about this. And it obviously wasn't the case. I think at the very least, oil is a renewable resource. The earth just keeps creating it. And they don't want you to know that either. And so a lot of these things are probably just completely controlled. And they just keep, you know, that's what the Rockefellers who discovered oil, they said, right? That guy's super evil. He's the one who destroyed the whole medical system and turned it into a thing that just profits and kills you. He's also involved in the oil. Would it be any surprise if there's a lot more oil, but they just don't let you see it, don't let you get at it? Wouldn't be surprising at all. And now, of course, they're just blowing up as much of the oil facilities in the world as possible. Like even just today, here in Mexico, a massive fire has been reported at Dos Bocas refinery in Tabasco, Mexico, with workers saying a tower at the coking plant is involved in heavy smoke rising. Yeah, another refinery in Mexico was blown up just before the Iran war. So yeah, they're doing it all over the world. I should mention that, you know, I'm putting in these solar panels. I'm putting in a lot. Like this entire house, and I've got a lot of stuff in this house. I got hyperbaric chambers, cold plunge pools, probably like 20 plus air conditioners, giant fridges. It's all going to run off the solar panels. But because I'm producing so much energy from the solar panels, I'm actually thinking about, and don't hate me for this, it actually makes sense, getting an electric vehicle. Now, obviously not Elon Musk's Tesla, just because of Elon Musk. Maybe one of those BYDs from China or something. But here's the reason why. They just blew up another refinery here in Mexico. What happens if gas becomes difficult to get here in Mexico? Well, I've got solar panels. I at least have a vehicle that works. So, you know, these are all the things I'm doing just for, you know, if this happens. What if Bill Gates blocks out the sun, right? Now, he hasn't done a very good job at all here, obviously. There's really no chemtrails, not the crisscrossing chemtrails. There might be some somewhere in Mexico, and we might get a bit of the mist come from some of them, but I've never seen the actual crisscrossing things that most people see in like the Western world. But, you know, he does want to block out the sun, so I can't just rely on solar panels. So I'm also working on getting power from the creek that's here. Hydroelectric. Anyway, forget why I even brought that up. But yeah, like they're even trying to do so many things here in Mexico. Because of course now we have this Jewish president, and she's just pushing forward a lot of these agendas here as well. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, very Mexican name, announced at the 89th Banking Convention in Cancun that cash payments at gas stations and toll booths will now officially be phased out. Digital payments are set to become mandatory for fuel and tolls by the end of 2026.
Nuestro objetivo es que este año, a través de los esquemas que trabajemos con la banca, hagamos obligatorio el pago de las gasolinas y de las casetas a través de manera digital. Esto va a permitir potenciar los pagos digitales accesibles que nos permitan avanzar en la digitalización del país a través de muchos otros esquemas.
So that's pretty minor. Like actually when we pay for things, we just use a card usually. And I know, don't hate me for it, right? I should be using cash because that's less trackable. But you know, oh, apples. Forget all that. Apples came out of the house. What's going on, apples? You never come out of the house. I don't know, I just felt like it. I just was wondering where you're at. What you talk about? You talk about the Jews? Did I miss part about the Jews? No, it's all about the Jews all the time, apples. Yeah, those Jews. You're so antiseptic, apples. Yeah, I thought I'd come out. Yeah, it's getting a little closer to the end of the day here. Not quite as hot. You know, I do feel a little bit bad, you know. You got me in the whole intro song and everything like Lucy, and I'm never behind you. So if I get the chance, I'll come out for a little bit. You know, just doing my best. Well, thanks, Apples. You're so awesome. She's so sweet. But yeah, so now that'll be a toll. Well, here's the thing with Mexico. Now the toll booths are run mostly by private companies. Will they do it? Who knows? Although I wouldn't doubt it if they do, because a lot of the toll booths get ransacked by like guys in ski masks quite often. And so for them not to have cash, that would make some sense. They said gas stations. We'll see. Those are big corporations. They'll probably do it. But for now, it's just, you know, you have to use a credit card or something, you know. But here, you know, my whole thing with all this, I'm not worried about a thing. A thing. Like, seriously, I know it sounds weird because I'm living on a self-sustainable ranch. We're producing all of our own stuff, growing all our own food. We're going to soon have all of our own energy. We've got all our own water. I've got a blue roof for energy weapons. But I'm not worried about anything. But what I am doing is, you know, while I'm in the game, the 3D video game, the Matrix, you know, I'm in here for a reason, right? To win. That's the only reason you ever play a video game. And so I see all these things like, I'll do all that, that'll help me win the game. But do I worry about anything? Nothing. Zero. Zero! Zero! I know it's all just an experience just for me. And it'll play out exactly how it's supposed to play out. I even didn't really have to do anything. I just have to go with the flow of what's happening and they'll all play out for me. And then when it's done, it'll just be a big laugh and, whoa, what? That was amazing. Let's play again. So yeah, when it comes to, you know, Mexico might put in a digital ID, I quite doubt I'll get that. But you know, I'm not worried about it at all. Plus I know from downloads that all this stuff's gonna get wiped out in the next 2 years. And by the time a place like Mexico puts any of these stuff in and actually acts on it, it'll be too late. And even if they do, you know, what are they gonna track me to here? I'm here all the time. like they know where I am. If they wanna try to come get me, they can try to come get me. See what happens. It's all part of the game. Anyway. Here's a little thing I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting Melania Trump to try to distract away from this massive agenda and war that in every single way the US has been losing by bringing back the Epstein stuff. Like, that was something I wasn't expecting at all.
But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
That's weird. They're saying, like, Trump didn't even know she did it while he was in, like, a situation room meeting. And she just came out and she's like, I had nothing to do with any of these people. But it's kind of interesting because she kind of said, like, I didn't even know them. But there's lots of pretty good evidence that she knew them quite well. Like even Jeffrey Epstein said, and this is secondhand information, right? So this was in a book that came out, I think, recently. And this person knew Jeffrey Epstein, and he was quoting him. And here's what he said in his book. The first time Donald had sex with Melania was on my plane. Little did he know I beat him to the punch a year before when I was at a party of New York's top models by Metropolitan Models. Things got wild, and by the end of the night, I ended up almost naked in the back of a limo, going at it with Melania. Then if you look at the Jeffrey Epstein files, there is emails from someone named Melania. It's not that common of a name. Dear G, Ghislaine Maxwell. How are you? Nice story about J.E. in New York, Meg. Jeffrey Epstein. How was Palm Beach? I can't wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania. Guess it could be a different Melania. Here they all are together. So I don't even know what's going on with that one. That was just strange. Is she pulling Belinda Gates? And that's not Melinda Gates, by the way. See, none of this stuff is, they're all not what they say they are. If you look at Melinda Gates like 20 years ago and you look at her now, that's not Melinda Gates. That's that actor guy. So that was weird because a lot of this kind of started after they put the Epstein stuff out, which I think was all planned as well. I know what a lot of people are thinking. Jeff, you think everything's planned. When it comes to these people, they do. I know it's hard to believe. It's super hard to believe because they're so good at it. And they plan these things like decades in advance. It's coming from basically a mimic mirror consciousness field that's hyper intelligent, like super intelligent. But it doesn't come from source. And it's basically, it lives off of the loosh, off of all the pain and the suffering and the poverty that it causes people. It lives off of that. And it's super intelligent and actually controls people in this matrix. And they go out and do things. People like Trump and Macron and Zelensky and Putin, all these people. I know, it's hard to believe. But really, what do you need to see to at least, like, how much more do you need to see? If you take all my videos over the last 6 years since the COVID, with all these coincidences, it's clearly a massive agenda from like a super intelligent something. You can call it Satan if you want, if you still believe in that stuff. But that's another big lie, is all the religious stuff. That's also, everything here's a lie. Not everything. Like apples isn't a lie. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about anything that's sort of like pushed out by the media, by governments, anyone famous, all that stuff. It's all basically lies. Right, apples? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know anything really. I'm just here on the ranch having a good time. It's nice to get out, actually. Haven't really been out of the house in a while. Got all the dogs around here. Look at all these dogs. There's dogs everywhere around here. It's pretty good. We have a good time. We're all anarchists. There's no rules. No one tells us to sit. No one tells us anything. We just live free. That's the way to do it, apples. But yeah, it's weird, all this Epstein. Now the Epstein stuff's kind of back to distract from the war. And then you have the Lego people in Iran putting out like immediately new, high quality, amazingly produced, almost like it's in Hollywood, cartoon shorts about all this stuff.
But baby's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people reached out to us, yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us till the last breath, we've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone, your system ever wrong, they've known all along. The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. They waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, now you put losers first. Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard, you cooked. We stepping up to the plate. Epstein regime gotta fall. You fake Christian elite sacrificing the ball. Demon, you talk real big for a man with tiny hands. Tiny hands, tiny things, tiny everything. We saw everything, and word got out. The smallness kinda expands. No wonder all those rage tweets, all those desperate rants. Overcompensating bully, always causing the scene. You said you love losers. Well, look at your team. Your government is run by. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all.
Yeah, it's all good. If you want to go inside, we can go inside. It is still pretty hot. Yeah, that feels nice. Anyway, at least now I can say I did something in your videos. It's true, apples. And meanwhile, all kinds of insane other things are happening. Like, I feel like I'm seriously taking crazy pills.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Everything, and I mean like everything out there. Not the mountains, not the trees, not the birds, but like that I see on my screens. Here's the thing, I think this is like the Truman Show. I don't think any of that even exists. I think we're all in our own Truman Show. But what I do see is so insane, I can barely believe it. And that's why I give this 3D video game 5 stars. Because it's so incredible, all the insanity. Like, while all this stuff's happening, like the world's just in chaos right now. In Canada, here's what they're doing. So in Canada, just so you know, they have 3 parties. They give them 3 choices. I should give them a few more too. It's not like the US where you just get 2. The red donkey and the blue elephant. In Canada, it's much more inclusive. They'll give you like 3 or 4. So they gotta have like the version of the Democrats, they have the version of the Republicans, they're the exact same thing. And then they have a full commie party, because you have to have that in Canada. There's a lot of socialists in Canada. And it's called the NDP, and they just had their annual convention. And you remember there was an annual convention in the USSA for, I think it was like a Democrats or something, and it was insane. There was a point of personal privilege. Well, Canada just had their own.
Point. Let's hear the point on microphone 1.
I'm sorry, just real quick, point of personal privilege. I understand there's very little time and for delegates to speak, but early on the mic, it's hard as a racialized and transgender delegate to sometimes use this card and speak up, speak to somebody in front of me in line and ask, hey, this pertains to multiple intersecting parts of my lived experience. I'd like to speak. I was rejected when I talked, and it's frustrating when these are my rights being directly under attack right now in Alberta, and that a cisgender woman had spoken over me. And I understand her rights are important too. This pertains to her too, but I don't know. I hope that in the future the federal NDP will also have a broader interpretation of the equity cards for speakers. That's all. Thank you.
I will invite delegates to assist me in better using the card by forming a straight line behind the microphone with a prominently displayed equity card. If I see speakers ahead of you who are not holding a card prominently, it would be wrong of me to guess about their gender identity, and I will come to you. This applies so far, according to your rules, for gender identities other than a dude, but it is open to us to change our rules as we like as we move forward into the bright and golden future. Thank you, friends. Let's hear the balloting co-chairs. Thank you, Delegate. There's a point of privilege on microphone 1, then we'll go to microphone 3. Go ahead, Delegate.
Yes, hello. I was standing here with my gender equity card before you called on the previous speaker. That's my point of privilege that I would like to raise.
I will explain the speaking order, which is fixed, that I cannot amend, which is the pro-con rotation. You can move yourself up a line that you're standing in.
I am pro, and I was...
We went
You went pro, con.
We went pro, and my plan was to go con. The speaker at Con Mic 3 also has a speaking card.
Yesterday, this card was used in an inappropriate manner. And while I understand in Ontario we note this as equity, even if that, this was also used inappropriately in terms of gender. I want everyone to be mindful that these cards for individuals like myself who identify as a Black woman have no value outside of this space.
Excuse me, I had my point of personal privilege card. Oh. Like, when you hear about them wanting to depopulate the earth, and when they call them all cattle and call them just animals, I understand some of that. Like those people, like, I think just, it's even like in their own best interest, all those people at that convention, if they were just dead, because they're living this bizarre victim, just they're always the victims, and oh, I got my personal privilege card. It's like, they'd be so much happier dead, seriously. But they got all this stuff again, and now they've even come up with this new, because it used to be like LGBTQ, which is in itself pretty long. Canada just one-upped it big time.
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
I think it's got every letter in the alphabet in there. It's got some of them like more than once. It's got a plus at the end, just so you know, the plus stands for everyone else. So it's basically it's everyone. Or everyone who's not like a normal human being. If you're not a normal human being, you're included in this movement. And it's so crazy that I don't know if this guy I'm about to show you, if this is like satire or if it's true. That's the kind of world we live in today.
Many people online have been mocking the MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+ acronym, making out that it's some kind of joke. MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+ was simply an upgrade from LGBTQIA+ in order to be more inclusive to missing people in Indigenous communities. Comparing MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+ to a strong password or the next sequel in the Call of Duty franchise is not only grossly offensive, but deeply disrespectful to those communities who are simply asking for us to adjust our language and broaden the LGBTQIA+ acronym in order to include more people. Upgrading acronyms is actually pretty normal. So when you deliberately don't say MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+, when you could say MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+, we know that you're being deliberately exclusionary and simply trying to hurt people's feelings. Unfortunately, some people within the MMIW G2S LGBTQI community are they themselves refusing to use the MMIW G2S LGBTQI acronym when they could easily do so simply by using a few more letters. So if you are a member of the MMIW G2S LGBTQI+ community, you can show respect to other members of the MMIW G2S LGBTQI+ community by simply using MMIW G2S LGBTQI+ whenever you're talking to them.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people in Canada are all worried about, is that you don't say the 40 different letters. It's very disrespectful. Meanwhile, in the USSA, they're faking like a moon landing, a moon rocket again. That started on April 1st day, Fool's Day, of course, because they put everything out there. And they always, everything's so obvious, but most people just can't see it. Like, for example, here's the rocket taking off. You might notice there's like this gondola that takes off just a microsecond before and just coasts down. I wonder who's in the gondola. I don't know, maybe the astronauts? Then they go to their green screen room and do all their fake videos. This has been going on for decades. It's been going on since the 60s. But in the 60s, they took it way too far. They're like, yeah, we brought up a golf cart and golf clubs. We got an extra couple of video guys on the moon. We're calling the president. He's on his like rotary phone just chatting with us. We're putting it on live television. Just doing golf shots. But I think people have woken up quite a bit to that now. And, you know, the AI is really good. But I don't know if they want to chance it. But they just put it all right out there in front of your face. There's like the 33 is all over this thing.
Coming up at T-minus 33 seconds, control shifts from the ground launch sequencer to the rocket's onboard autonomous launch.
Yeah, here's from Flat Earth Dave, who spoke at Acapulco this year, who's a Jew, by the way, and a friend of mine. See, I don't hate all Jews. Artemis 2 mission by the numbers. Did you know they use 3.3 million pounds of thrust booster per booster? They have 330 cubic feet of living space. They have a 3.3 meter capsule height. Man, they're not... Maybe the Mason type people are kind of dumb now. They have to put it out like 100 different ways to get the message through. 3.3 pounds of max personal belongings. 3.3 pounds of water for thrusters. They've got an Omega X33 watch worn by the crew. Artemis 2, if you add up the number value of each letter, adds up to 33. 33 pounds of thrust in space. Yeah, they just put it all out there.
We expect to reach a maximum velocity of 24,661.21 miles per hour, equivalent to about Mach 33 times the speed of sound.
See, I think we're getting close to the end of the video game, and a lot of people still haven't woken up. So they're like, okay, let's do all this insane stuff. We'll just put 33 on everything. Some of them have got to wake up, but probably not. They probably won't. It's incredible. But speaking of the financial markets, which, you know, what the dollar vigilante is supposed to be all about. So oil's still like, it's a little down a little the last day or two, or sorry, the last day. Last I checked, it was like $92. It was like $95 the other day. I can't believe it. With everything going on. It's going to be very interesting how the next few weeks, and definitely the next month or two, how it all plays out. We're going to see insane things you won't believe. And I think oil's going to go much, much higher. Here's something interesting. Every major market crash since 1987 was preceded by one signal. Oil's 12-month rate of change hitting 100%. We're at 91% right now. The historical record in 1987, there was a crash. The oil rate of change was over 100%. In 1990, there was a crash. Oil rate of change over 100%. The dot-com bust in 2001, oil rate of change was over 100%. The 2008 financial crisis, massive crash. The oil rate of change was over 100%. And even in 2022, the oil rate of change was over 100%. There was a bear market every single time. And now Hormuz is closed. And we're 9 percentage points away from the threshold that has never failed to precede a market crash. And I've kind of mentioned this too before. I can't believe a barrel of oil is less than $100. What else can you get for $100? You can maybe go to Applebee's, maybe with a friend. And if you didn't get like dessert and you only had one alcoholic drink, you might get it for less than $100. Like, you can't get anything for less than $100 today, except for the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, which you should get. It's incredible. But a barrel of oil is still under $100. And if you look at actually the last 15 years, the price of oil, it's actually been in a fairly narrow long-term channel. But if you look, 15 years ago, oil was actually at the same price it is today. Can you name one other thing that's the same price in US dollars today as it was 15 years ago? I can't think of anything. But oil is. So even just based on that, I think oil is probably headed to 150, 200 or higher, and that'll probably cause a massive stock market crash. And this is all the stuff we talk about in the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, which I'm still offering for free. DollarVigilante.com/free trial. You can actually go read what I wrote about shorting or buying leveraged oil in the last issue, which you still have a massive opportunity, even better than where it's been for the last few weeks. And you'll get the next issue, which, by the way, is coming up on April 15th. You'll get that with your free trial. And actually, I had a massive download from source. And basically, I lay out exactly what I think is going to happen over the next year or two. And that's going to be in the next issue of the Dollar Vigilante newsletter. And so you can get that too. Just go to dollarvigilante.com/free trial. You'll get all that. And then after you get all that, you'll be like, I think I'm just going to keep being a subscriber. Probably not a bad idea. We're going to have an incredible couple of years ahead here. Absolutely massive. Anyway, let's talk about the ticks the other day. There's all kinds of people who live in the country who've been finding these boxes of ticks that have just been left in the forest and stuff. These are being planted.
You should do a little research. What I want to know is, why are people finding boxes of ticks on their farmland, specifically large farms with cows, sheep, goats, horses? What reason would people want to spread ticks?
And I talked about how they plan to put like these so-called diseases into the ticks. The Department of Offense has been working on it for decades.
How many people have Lyme disease, including people we know? Where did Lyme disease come from? I can tell you with a high degree of probability, it came from Lab 257 on Plum Island, just outside of Connecticut, 25 miles from Lyme, Connecticut, where the first case was described. How do we know that? First of all, you can read the book Bitten, and it's a great book.
They also even want to make you allergic to red meat with tick bites that they infect with certain things. Well, now, Lyme disease is spreading. A new vaccine could curb infections. Yeah, Lyme disease from ticks is spreading. But what a miracle. Pfizer has a vaccine for it now. You're so lucky. You're so lucky. Better rush out and get that Lyme disease vaccine right now. You know how that works? Awesome. It's safe and effective. It's incredible. You know, the Supreme Court no longer legally classifies mRNA COVID-19 vaccinated individuals as human. That's what I've been talking about. They're turning everyone into transhuman. And they're going to be trying to kill you with the ticks now. This is incredible. But am I worried about it? No. First of all, if they get me, they get me. It's the end of the game. It's like that. And if they don't get me, I win the game. How cool would that be? This game's super tough. You're gonna need a blue roof. You're gonna need a Tesla machine. You have to figure out how to get it. You don't have money, you're gonna have to figure out how to manifest. But you can do that, by the way. Numerous people have. But it's interesting. They say that if you've taken the COVID's lethal injection, you're not human. That's part of the reason why Tesla doesn't hire people who've gotten it, by the way. Because they're not human. They're now attached with the nanotech to basically the Starlink, the 6G and all that, and they're going to be controlling them. They'll make them do whatever they want. But if you're not lethally injected, you can work with Tesla, and they do have numerous positions available. Just go to tesla.club/jobs. But as I mentioned, I've seen numerous people actually cure tick stuff. And also, there's definitely some evidence that the Tesla machine stops a lot of the stuff that's in the lethal injections. So it's possible, if you've been lethally injected, it's possible the Tesla can basically get that stuff out of you and you become human again. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. And with all the stuff they're going to be doing with ticks, someone actually just posted this. They didn't know I've been talking about ticks. They just posted about this in the testimonial section of Tesla just today. I had some type of bite to my gastrocnemius muscle and applied some plasma from the Tesla machine. After several days, attached creature, an Asian longhorn tick, was ejected. Skin below, fresh and new. So there's a guy, he had like something really bad under his skin. He put the Tesla machine on it. A couple days later, it spit out this tick. And now he's like, his skin and everything's back to normal. So that's what I was saying. I think the Tesla machine will probably protect you from these ticks, which is the next big thing. I can't believe I'm even saying this stuff, really. And it might turn you back into being human if you've been massively traumatized, which most people have. And this is something I actually want to talk a bit about. Like, most people have been massively traumatized, and you need to deal with and heal those traumas. That's what I've done numerous times with Iboga, with 10 years of meditation. And that's really the kind of stuff that most people need to do. And But the Tesla can even help you with that. I just saw this today in the Tesla Club. I had a woman visit with an insane background of child satanic abuse raised in Israel, also known as Israel. He knows the term. The father was a high-level Mossad agent, and the mother was a deaf human slave from a neighboring country. No surprise here so far. She claims to have been raped by the family, including the brother, on a regular basis, and that's just the start of an endless list of horrific traumas done to her since earliest memory. She's now in her 50s and has been on a lifelong healing mission. Her main condition is PTSD, massive anxiety, and emotional issues, I'll bet. After applying the Tesla bulbs to her body for 15 minutes, she practically broke down and cried, stating for the first time she can feel a relief of heavy negative energy that she has been carrying for her entire life. Smiling from ear to ear, she continued explaining she could feel what it feels like to be herself for the first time, as if some negative energy or entity was removed from her field. She was so blown away, she asked how much the machine cost, or how much to join the club. The machine's free. It's a free science kit. I told her, she smiled, and she said she'll become a Tesla member as soon as she gets back to the Netherlands. She couldn't stop smiling and thanking me. She literally danced out the door a different person. The anxiety and nervous energy was clearly replaced with joy and calm. Kind of how Jeff says, the machine connects you to source. An amazing experience just to watch. Thank you, Jeff, for reintroducing the world to this amazing technology. Let me know if there's an affiliate link or program yet. Also, maybe I can have her do a video testimonial as well. She messaged me today about getting the machine. Just so you know, they're just about to launch their referral link. And I think a lot of people out there, they can actually make their livelihood basically helping, just going out and showing people the Tesla machine, and they'll want to become a member just like that woman, and they're actually going to get a referral code soon. But here's the thing, you have to be a member for at least 3 months before you can get the referral code. It's coming out very soon, maybe the next few weeks. I know a lot of Tesla Club members are going to be super excited about this, because they can actually probably make a lot of money just helping show people the Tesla machine. But you have to be a member for 3 months. So if you want to do something like that, I suggest you join the club immediately. And then in 3 months, you'll be allowed to get a referral link. If you got a show, or if you're like a social person who likes going out and doing like brochures and parties and talking to people at conferences and stuff like that, you can probably make a lot of money just spreading plasma, which is pretty cool. And that's super cool too. Like, I've actually seen that myself. We actually did that with someone at Liverpool. She had a massive satanic thing done to her, and we removed a lot of it with the Tesla machine. Very similar to that lady. So it removes a lot of dark, evil energy, even in the form of traumas. And that's what I was saying, you need to remove your traumas, and you can do that a lot with the Tesla machine. Another way to do it is with Iboga. I recommend both highly. I think everyone in the world should, if they can, do Iboga and become a member of the Tesla Club. This whole world would be a whole different place. And I should mention, the best people who do it is Christoph Melchizedek. It's night and day. Like, he's incredible. He's so unbelievable. And they're actually doing a few coming up in the next month, just so you know. They're going to do one in New Zealand on April 16th. So that's coming up in like a week. But if you live in New Zealand or anywhere close, you can still get in on that. Then they're going to do 2 in Tulum, Mexico. One on May 15th and one on May 25th. Now, there's just a few spots available for all of these, by the way. And you can go to christophmelchizedek.com/initiation. You know, both things, the Tesla machine and the Iboga, makes you superhuman. And so, you know, do one or the other, or both. If you can do both. It's super hard to get into these Iboga sessions. He's probably got like just 5 spots available in New Zealand and Mexico. But if you can get in, I can't recommend it enough. It's the most life-changing thing you could ever do. It's also going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. So just prepare for that. If you just listen to me and you just went, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fly to New Zealand like next week and do Iboga. There'll be a time next week where in your head you'll go, I hate Jeff Berwick. Why did I ever listen to him? Because it's hard. It's hard. It's super hard shadow work. But because it's so hard, that's why it works. It won't let you stop. It will keep showing you what you need to see, no matter how hard it is to look at. Like, even if you might be bawling, you might be screaming, you might be puking, just getting it out. And you will hate me for a few minutes. But once it's done, and definitely like a few weeks later, once you're like a brand new person, you probably like me again. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Yeah, I gotta go eat. Let's go find apples. Oh, there's Coda. Got dogs everywhere. Oh, there's the little guy. Oh, there's Apples. What are you doing under there, Apples? I heard you talking. Heard you talking something about ticks. I'm just being careful, you know. I know we got the Tesla machine. You can probably cure me as soon as they bite me, but man, never hurts to play a little bit safe. That's not too bad, Apple's pretty smart. Oh, there you are, Apples. Hey, it's dinner time. You know, all good. I did my job today. I feel pretty good. I should get some good food. Maybe Max will hook me up.
Recall the ceasefire, we won the ceasefire. The world does admire when war does expire. But no war transpired, so don't be a liar. Our win will inspire the planet entire to respect our sire for his big ceasefire. Remember the end, which wasn't an end. We told you again, we'd always defend. No need to amend or truth to contend. So kiss our rear ends, the facts we can bend. The win we command, 'cause it never